Hi, welcome to Amapiano Zone UK. You're probably wondering what it takes to make the perfect Amapiano drums. Well, I invite you to stay tuned to find out what are some tips and tricks that can help you to understand how the Amapiano drums work and what techniques and ways you can use to sort of find a good feel for working around the drums and all the different aspects or types of and genres of Amapiano you may try out. So what's involved in making Amapiano drums? Well, you may know that with Amapiano, it's a different genre of music. The most important thing about Amapiano is the groove. How and I can illustrate this with with a simple pattern which I'll try to put out here for you today. Especially those who may have experience in house music. So I can illustrate it this way. So most Amapiano songs will be between 100 and 112 BPM to 115 BPM. But just for the purpose of an example, just to show others, I'm going to make a simple house rhythm. So this is your typical house music rhythm, and sometimes some people will add a few other different percussions there just to make it different. For example, you might add a few things in between beats or after at the downbeat just to add a bit of a groove to a simple pattern. So that's a simple house rhythm for most tracks that you could do if you're making a house song. But why is Amapiano different? Well, what makes Amapiano different is that we still use the same kind of grooves. However, whenever there's an Amapiano set and people are dancing to Amapiano music, you'll commonly notice that the way people dance is different. Amapiano is not necessarily about the energy, but it's about the groove. So what Amapiano generally wants or needs is the kind of drum pattern that allows space for the people to be able to dance, exhibit themselves, their own individual ways of dancing without overdoing it. So the whole point of Amapiano is when you dance, you don't break a sweat. And that's why you find that most of the kinds of dances you'd see in Amapiano go against what you'd normally expect. Obviously, most of the dances are sort of interchangeable, but Amapiano has different kinds of patterns which change. They do change, and for a new listener, they might be quite erratic, but for the most part, they do have different motifs and themes within them which you can follow. So we'll just make a simple Amapiano rhythm or just a simple Amapiano drum pattern just to showcase how an Amapiano drum pattern would look like. And one of the things you'll find with Amapiano music is it's not the kick that usually drives the drum pattern. So you do have a kick, but it's more of a sub drum, if I can say that, rather than your typical kick which has a high frequency click. So what else can we do here to make this more of an Amapiano pattern? Well, we can mute the head for the time being, and what we can do is we can remove some of these drums and have a look at them. One of the things Amapiano thrives on is space, but it's not necessarily just having space, it's how we use the space. So you want drums that have sharp attacks that can, some of them can be in your face because they're not playing all the time. Whereas with some house rhythms, the drums consistently play almost at the same rate, sometimes at the same loudness. Some of them, of course, some people might change the velocities, change how hard they hit. But some generally they do play, I'd say, at the same kind of energy. But with Amapiano, it's a little bit different. So one of the first things I might try to look for is a rim shot, because a rim shot generally has a really nice sharp attack. So I'll just make this a bit longer. I might add that in for later. I might go into the cymatics kit just to look for some more one shots. So from here, what we can do is add a shaker. Sometimes you can have the shaker, sometimes you can have the hats. It all depends on how you're feeling. For example, if I put it on the song mode, or you can have both. I might opt for a different kind of hi-hat here in this particular example. So I hope that has been helpful, but that's just a simple tutorial. Sometimes there'll be times where you need to mess about and just find a rhythm. But the key things to remember is, number one, you want to create a rhythm where there's still space in between. So you might think of it in the same way as you think of other different genres of electronic music, sort of like a call to response, but with drums. As well, you also want to make sure that you don't make your drums feel too repetitive, so that you create pockets in between where probably you can have a snare or you have your log drum. But as you see in this particular example, these drums don't necessarily sound predictable, but they've got sort of like a kind of a pattern. So it's like they have to hit where you least expect it. So you can't have a continuously thumping drum. You want to have your drums moving. So for example, like you've got pattern 1 here, you could always make some adjustments in pattern 2. But one common theme is the drums have a beginning and they've got sort of like a climax where they end. So you pick your sound. If you take your time to pick your sounds, you've got the right sounds which give you sort of like a good climax or a good ending, and that's what you want. So I'd like to thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this informative, and I want to say please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.